Hi. So there's been some updates regarding my health and my blood testing, and it turns out that I've done everything bloody marvelously. I'm so happy. I can't tell you, like, the relief of getting back into the safety zone is just unreal. I got the video last night. My blood guy sent it through to me. Must have been about 11:30 at night. And he said, there was like a little message, and it was, Charlene, I think you'll, and it was like, oh shit, what's he gonna say to me? And it turned out that he said, I think you'll be pleased with these, you know, you've clearly done some work on yourself, and you know, your blood's looking so much better. So their oxidative stress is all gone, and lymphatic stuff there is still quite a lot of. I think historically there are like issues in my family for the lymphatic stuff, so I'm not too worried about it. I just keep plugging away, trying to stay as clear as I possibly can, and I do that with eating as clean as possible now. I used to try and jump through that loophole as quick as I could and get onto the more convenient food, but actually since wearing the glucose monitor, I found that it just gave me such an awareness of what food does to my body that I decided to eat better. And doing the lymphatic course has also taught me that protein is not necessarily a great thing for me. Stay clean by eating sort of a more vegetable based diet, and so I'm doing that. I even taught myself how to make cheesecakes, because I really miss cheesecake. Like, I miss it so much that I would often fall off the wagon for cheesecake, and I still will from time to time, but actually making like a raw vegan version is really nice, and it's quite easy. In fact, it's very easy. I just hadn't figured out how to do it. Like, my ADHD brain would not allow me to read the recipe and follow instructions, but it was like, I really need cheesecake, so I had to learn how to do that. But when it comes to healing my body, I just feel so grateful, just so very lucky that my body is so resilient and it bounces back so quickly as long as I'm doing the right things. And the funny thing is as soon as I get the warning call, then I know exactly what I need to do. But the thing is, I knew exactly what to do anyway. I was just waiting for the warning call. And I'm kind of trying to not do that, because I've done that before. And each time I do it, I get into a state whereby I need to really change everything I'm doing, you know, sort of go back to basics really, and get all the bad habits out of the way, and tune into to up-leveling to whatever cancer wants from me this time. There's always quite a reluctance for me to see where I haven't been in alignment. And I'm not just talking physically, I'm talking like mentally, emotionally. Everything is related to our healing, to our health. And so for me, there's been a reluctance when I've had that warning call, and I've not really wanted to admit that things have been going awry. But a couple of weeks in, and it's like, oh yeah, it wasn't good, was it? So I'm seeing, like, I knew that it would up level me each time. And I was driving with my daughter today, my 14-year-old, and she said, this has really made you grow. Like, as a person, you've really grown. And for her to say that, she must have noticed something, like this time in particular, because the last time my bloods were bad, last year, I went on a protein diet. Basically, it was a way of curbing the blood sugar spikes that create a lot of the oxidative stress. And that seemed to work for me. My bloods, when I went back and got my bloods done, it was good. They were really, really good. But then I kind of fell off that wagon a bit. Stayed on, well, did I? No, I was just eating a lot of sourdough, really. People were like, you can eat sourdough, that's all right. So I was eating that for every meal. Well, every day at least. And so it was diet largely that I went in with last year, whereas this year it's been more about what are the underlying causes. Like, I was quite unhappy in the run up to getting the bloods taken. There was a lot going on in my family and it was quite stressful, and my body reacts quite strongly to stress. I'd say that each time cancer's reared its head, it's been stress driven. So I have to be very, very careful with how I handle stress. And so I've learned a lot of ways of coping. And this time I've had a lot of chronic pain. And so I needed to kind of understand what that was about. So I've done a lot of studying of the fascia and nervous system and fascia release, like really, really gentle fascia release, because there was any stretching, any exercise that I was doing would trigger my body into an episode of chronic pain. And so I had to be very, very gentle around this. So I did the practitioner, what is it called, where you calm your nervous system regulation practitioner training, which has been really good. Like, it's really good because it's such a powerful, gentle, like the exercises do my head in because they're just so gentle that it feels like you're doing nothing, and my brain cannot cope with that. It wants to feel like it's doing something. And so the act of doing nothing is doing such a lot because it allows your body to drop into the parasympathetic. I can never remember which one is which. Oh, God. So it allows your body to drop into the one that it should be and not the fight or flight one. And from there, applying gentle pressure to the fascia can release all sorts of, it's like Pandora's box of old shit that we've buried. And I've really struggled to do the exercises because they feel like they're nothing. And then the next day it's like a tsunami of shit that comes up, and it's been quite intense but really interesting. Like, not initially interesting. Initially it was like, fuck, where did all this emotion come from? And then it's like, I see where this is coming from. And as soon as there's that knowledge and that understanding of where it's coming from, it's like you can become a bystander and you can spectate rather than being embroiled in the feeling. It's really just giving yourself the safety to feel, because the first time around you didn't have that safety or didn't feel like you had that safety, whereas now it's like, okay, I know how to bring myself into a safe space. I know how to talk to myself so that I feel like I'm held. So I've done a lot of growing in that sense. I've done a lot of learning about the lymphatic system because that has been a problem. And so I did get things going for a while, but I'm really shit at doing the exercises, like consistently doing the exercises I know I should be doing. But doing them is quite a whole different story. But I endeavor to try to stay on track this time and be good, and not to have to heed a warning sign that's quite as intense as the lack of safety that having that diagnosis gives you. Cancer is fucking scary, and fear is such a big block to healing. So you get stuck in this between a rock and a hard place of, I need to heal my body, but I'm stuck in one of the nervous systems, the one that makes you scared, fight or flight. And I'm really good now at not being scared, at teaching myself that it's not even teaching myself. I don't need to teach myself anything. It's going back to basics. It's stripping everything back to our essential being, because in that place there's nothing to be frightened of. We've got everything we need. We're held. And when I first got my bloods back, when they were shit, I was like, oh my God, it's Christmas coming up. What if this is my last Christmas? I'm going to be 50. What if I don't make it to 51? You know, I've got 3 kids. What if I can't be a mum to them? I even got one of my best friends to agree to be their godparents without the god part, to be there for them, because like I've said many times before, you know, cancer is, it's kind of like your life is flashing before you, but all the time our lives are flashing before us, with or without cancer. It doesn't matter. We're not here forever, are we? We're not immortal. And so being with the thought that we could die is actually really healthy, because it helps us to live. If we can be with the idea of dying, we can be with the idea of living far more authentically, and it kind of gives you a sense of understanding the fragility of everything. And it gives me great gratitude, you know, to have what I have, to have who I have, you know, the people in my life. I'm very lucky. And I think when you're just living without the fear of a diagnosis, you forget that. You forget to be grateful, because we take things so for granted. And you know, life is not forever. It's just for this flash of time. You know, our perspective is so tiny, and yet we think it's everything. Our thoughts are these tiny little flutters in a massive universe, and yet they impact us like they are everything. We're so attached to our thinking brain, and you know, it's healthier to go back to basics, and to be with our body, and to just be in silence sometimes, and allow a feeling of being held and protected, rather than fear-mongered into everything. Big breath. But I feel very blessed. There's my cat. She's going to stand on my drawings. Look. Off. Get out. Thank you. She likes to do that. So healing is always possible, but it's hugely individual. But we all have that voice that's guiding us to where we need to be. We just need to tune into it. My daughter was saying the other day that she was talking to herself in a guiding way. It's like, actually, do you know what you were doing? It was like you're switching off your thinking mind, and that guidance is always there. We just turn the volume down on that, and we let the thinking brain speak so much louder. But when we turn the volume down on the thinking brain, we can allow that guidance to come through a lot more frequently, with a lot more, we can drop into trust a lot easier. And when we're in trust, there is so much available to us. And when we are in fear, our lives become so limited and so small. And so I think if anything that you take away from this, it's dropping into trust more. And we do that by just silencing the thinking brain, gently, quietly, just, you know, thank you, but just be quiet for now. Meditation is great, always gets me back to the place I need to be. Drawing, marvelous. It just allows me to kind of act from that subconscious place, and the nervous system regulation, that very, very painfully slow movement exercise, is really good as well. So sending you lots of love, and yes, it's bloody marvelous news, isn't it? All right, take care.